Good afternoon, everyone. I, Shashank, on behalf of NEN and Vadhani Foundation, would like to invite you all for this webinar and also introduce our expert. Mr. Sanjiv Bhavnani is an engineering graduate from Punjab Engineering College with PG diplomas in management and IT and a vast experience of over 25 years working with leading IT companies. He started his career with Blue Star Limited as a project engineer, then moved on to be the senior executive at CNC Limited, then the vice president marketing at Technova Information Systems, and then at Mira Information Technologies as its CEO. He then started Infotechnics and built it into one of the most respected, recognized, and fast-growing system integration companies in India. He was also a director of Image Analyzer Limited UK, a director of OpenTech Thai Network Specialist Limited Thailand, and the chairman of Cyberworks Visesh LLC US. Sanjiv Bhavnani was awarded the Udyog Ratan in 2007 and was included in the International Who's Who of Professionals and Madison Who's Who for his outstanding contributions to the Indian IT industry. He founded Mentorpreneur Advisors and continues to mentor and guide several SME and startups in their business pursuits since then. Before I hand over the floor to Sanjeev, here are a few reminders for the audience. You will all be on mute. You may ask a question by typing in the panel provided. Over to you, Sanjeev.
Thank you, Shashank. Good afternoon, friends and fellow entrepreneurs. As Shashank already said, I am Sanjiv Bhavnani of Mentorpreneur Advisors, and my sole purpose in life is to advise and mentor India-centric businesses across several industry verticals. I wish to thank you for finding the time to join us at this NEN webinar today, which I sincerely hope shall add value to your entrepreneurial ambitions and success. My topic for today is planning a successful entrepreneurial journey. And I do believe that most of you have either already embarked on one or are planning to do so in the near future. With all the successful entrepreneurs making headlines these days, it may appear that anyone can launch a company, which is quite true. But before you quit your job to launch the next Facebook or Instagram or many such other ventures which have got huge valuations, it's important to keep in mind that the success rate for first-time entrepreneurs is only 12%, according to a published research by Funders and Founders, which is an international organization that connects startups and people who fund them. The success rate for first-time entrepreneurs is 12%, while that for a failed first-time entrepreneur with his next startup increases to about 20%. Even veteran entrepreneurs backed by a VC have success rates of only 30% with a new startup. The story is almost similar with new products where only 10% of them have found success. So Funders and Founders concludes that the more you try, the more likely you are to find success. Now, I don't intend to disappoint you with what I'm going to say, but I would like to definitely prepare you for the harsh reality that awaits any entrepreneur on his maiden journey. Being prepared for these eventualities which you will encounter on your business ventures will ensure the success and at least help you avoid some disappointments that might be found on the way. Everyone knows that starting companies and investing in startups is a risky business, and it's a very risky way to earn a living. But few people appreciate just how risky it is. As some wise investor once put it, many turtles hatch, but very few make it to the sea. So the topic I am about to embark on is certainly not an easy one, as there are no guaranteed recipes for the success of a venture. However, that said, there are several factors that are critical to the success of any venture, and a careful analysis of these will reveal that the chances of failure of a startup certainly reduce considerably if all these are taken into account when a founder or promoter is starting his venture. Over the next 20 minutes or so, I shall take you through a few slides which will help you in planning a successful entrepreneurial journey. So here goes. Oh God. Gentlemen, just give me a moment. I seem to have Shashank. Yeah. All right. So we start with the basics out here. Who is the ideal founder? He is typically a high achiever with an unusual clarity of purpose, mission, and vision. The ideal founder is somebody who's identified a consumer need which he can fulfill viably over the medium to long term and is passionate about his beliefs and vision. His conviction helps him attract the desired capital and the team, because without these basic ingredients, there is no venture success. So you must understand yourself, your likes, your dislikes, strengths, weaknesses, and find your passion. What is it that you really love doing and are good at? If you could build a business around something you're passionate about and create a key role for yourself in that business, something that you're really good at, this business would be something you'd love to be in. Your passion would show and would be almost infectious. It would help you finding your clients, your staff, and also the investment you need to build your own business. So whenever you're planning your new business, or if you're already in a business, please think hard. Is this something that you have really dreamt about? Is this something that gets you so excited that you can't think of anything else to do? Is this the line of business that you don't want to go back home to? You would rather come back to the office, you look forward to the beginning of the day so that you can get back to work and get things started. If not so, it's time you started rethinking the business that you're in and the strategy that you built around it. We move on from the ideal founder. Why does the damn... Excuse me, yeah. So the next step of this is identifying your customer. Who are your target customers? Where are you going to find them? What is that one major unfulfilled need that your customer has? How do you plan to meet it? You must define your model customer. Are you planning to sell your product or service in a B2B or B2C model? Collect as much data as you can on your customer. One of the core rules of any successful entrepreneur is to have validated customers. Do you know in advance that you have made customers who are willing to pay the price you are asking for the product or service that you are planning to launch? Too many good startups fail to sufficiently validate their customer assumptions, or in the case of internet firms, scale up far too quickly before validating the initial marketplace and streamlining their costs. A successful startup scales to its growth on the basis of proven, steady, and paying customers. Steady acquisition is a very good sign as opposed to high and low fits and starts. So when planning your business, please look at your customer carefully, define his customer profile, collect all the information you can about that customer. Figure out the price at which you plan to provide a service, however excellent it may be, is something that the clients are going to value at that price. Because if that price is not valued by the customer, you cannot be making any profits. You will probably lose more customers than gain to meet your big master plan. Successful modern businesses are ones that understand and meet the requirements of their customers. Detailed market planning and market research is therefore an essential for new business to find out details as the potential size of the market, the extent of competition, as well as consumer preferences and tastes. Now we come to defining the other critical aspect of your business. I hope this is coming through because I have a flash message which says you may be experiencing network connection difficulties. I hope everything is moving fine.
Yeah,
if not, Shashank, could you please message me, because at my end, I think everything is fine.
Yeah, I can see your
okay?
yeah, I can see your slide clearly.
And the audio is clear also?
Yeah, it is very clear.
All right, so I'll continue. Coming to defining your product. What is it that differentiates your product and service from others? What is your vision for your venture? Have you conceptualized a design, a prototype, or a roadmap for your product or service? Have you adequate data and research to back up your design? What exactly is your brand strategy? Who are your competitors? Without knowing at least this much about your product, and knowing is not knowing in my mind. Knowing is writing it down. Please do not attempt to answer questions to yourself. Be prepared to answer every stakeholder. Anything that is presented in black and white is something which makes sense to practically everyone who reads it. Just because you believe in something does not mean that everybody who is going to see your product or your business plan is going to believe it as much unless you can explain it in black and white. So I come back to defining your product. What is important is please put it in black and white for the benefit of yourself as well as all other stakeholders, because your company is more than a one-man venture. Focus on specialization in a niche if you can. Be a leader in your field of expertise. Many times entrepreneurs spread themselves too thin with multiple products and offerings. It is a good strategy to go after specific areas where the momentum is good and build big on it. Narrowed market focus helps address customer requirements in depth. Hence, you can command premium pricing. Generalizing or doing everything for everyone is a sure shot death for a startup. I hope most of you would agree with what I have just said and would delve into your businesses and your business focus around your products and services that you offer to your clients, in case some of these points strike you as new. Moving on to the next one, we come to what makes an organization. It's an ideal team. Without an ideal team, there is very little that is going to be achievable by any venture. So what is this ideal team? Take it as a mix of achievers in the following disciplines. You are one, definitely yourself. You're probably the one who came up with the vision, with the idea of a new product or service, or something that you find that the marketplace has been missing. What you need with you, based on your own background, are people who are achievers in at least these following 4 disciplines: marketing, finance, operations, and management. If achievers are not available to you internally, utilize external resources or advisors or find a mentor to fill in the gaps and seek their opinions before taking strategic decisions. Avoid mixing business interests with near relations like friends and family. Relationship always clouds the decision when hiring. Design your startup founding team with good complementing professionals whom you can make friends with and will become your so-called extended family over a period of time. Offering discounts, accepting late payments are usually seen when one does business with friends. Hence, a golden rule, please avoid friends when you're starting your new business. Avoid relations getting involved in your business and taking key positions, because somewhere this is going to deter your judgment and not take your organization where you had envisioned it to go. Now let us look at the essentials to success. We've already gone through the customer, the team, the product. Capital, of course, is one thing which is very, very important to any business. Now, capital could come from any of the various, in various forms. It could be bootstrapping your venture with your own savings, your saved salaries, money that is borrowed from friends and family. Maybe you found an angel investor, a venture capital fund. You could raise it from banks and financial institutions as debt, or as a business progresses over a period of time, you have retained earnings, which is the profits that you have retained after paying your dividends. Now, these retained earnings could also be plowed back into the business. As you get still larger, you will find that an IPO or an initial public offering or a GDR or FCCB, which are global issues, are very good ways of raising funds from international investors who are interested in your concept and your market. In terms of the team, the founders, the management, are key. As you grow, you are adding on staff, you add on advisors, you add on partners. Partners may not necessarily mean amongst the founders and the people who have contributed the funds. Partners could mean other stakeholders who could be your channel partners, who could be any way of extending the reach of your team. Lots of organizations today have found that they structure deals with each other. We have leading publications which are doing structured equity deals who become partners to the team and help them with their public relations, with their publicity, with their advertising. Similar things are also available now from certain leading organizations which are in the field of advisory and management. People do take equity options. People do take equity in organizations which cannot afford the kind of investment that is required for seeking the advice. Mentorpreneur Advisors, for one, my own organization, is pretty keen and does that very regularly with a lot of startups, provided we are sure that the promoters are fine, they have a depth of knowledge, they have a passion about their line of work, they have the right idea. We definitely help them with every other aspect and provide them the ecosystem that they need to grow their business. In terms of the customer, we already talked about the model customer. The customer could be using the distribution chain, so you have distributors, channel partners, service partners, and finally the consumer, the end consumer who's going to buy your product or service. The product itself revolves around the promoter or the founder's vision, concept. There is a model that you design. There is a prototype in case of products that you might be coming out with, whether in terms of hardware or even software products do have prototypes. There are beta releases. And there is the roadmap as you go forward and as you grow the organization as to what the next step is going to be. All these things actually center around something which drives the modern enterprise, and that is innovation. Innovation is something which falls and covers all these areas. There is no way that a successful business can continue being successful and continue growing unless its founders, unless the team is innovative. And innovation is something which comes from several feedbacks that you receive from your consumer based on your product, a competitor's design which might threaten your product, a shift in consumer buying attitudes. Things like innovation could be used and come in handy even in things like as dull as capital management. There are several ways of raising capital to fund your venture. Equity at times seems to be an easy and cheap option because you do not need to repay your equity investors. But if your organization is successful, this is possibly the most expensive way of raising investment for your venture. So there is innovation which comes in here. There is innovation in terms of which currency you want to fund your entire project in. There is rupee-dollar arbitrage. You could see potential of the rupee rising from where it is or falling from where it is. You know that interest rates are different across the world. You could leverage on interest rates which are as low as 0.5% and go up to as high as 15%, but there is always a currency risk. So innovation comes in handy in every part of your business. And a business which is built around this innovation is something which is bound to succeed, or at least withstand a lot more uncertainties in the business environment than certain other businesses. Now, coming to the essentials of success, the essentials of any successful venture are customer, product, team, capital, and innovation. These are the 5 threads that are critical growth drivers for any venture. Proper detailing and identification and planning of the same based on market feedback from clients, stakeholders will result in innovation, keeps the venture growing. Now, we go into the methodology that we as Mentorpreneur advisors use to build some of our, plan the growth of some of our clients, some of the people that we advise, some of the startups and small businesses, in terms of putting a roadmap which is something which is sure to lead to success. Now, in planning for success, Mentorpreneur's methodology encompasses the 8 phases of an emerging venture. And these phases actually go around 5 threads that focus on most of the critical growth areas. These are clearly indicated in the slide. Business planning should cover aspects such as marketing, finance, sales, and promotional plans, as well as detailed breakdowns of costings and profit predictions. It is often said that failing to plan is planning to fail. So if we don't want to fail and we want our business to actually reach the next stage, it is very important that we plan each and every step of our business meticulously, from the founder's vision around the product or service he intends to give to the marketplace, to the commitment that he is making, whether financially, whether in terms of time, whether in terms of resources, to a business which he then starts putting together as a business plan. The groundwork that goes into collecting data and understanding the customer profile, the customer requirement, the competition landscape, which actually becomes the business plan for the startup. Going on from the startup, there is the need to create the business. You find the right place to start operating from. You find the right team to build this business with. You find the right areas to produce in case you're manufacturing or deliver your services from, depending on what your line of business is. And you have a strategy to launch the product and thereafter grow the product. This practically is the life cycle of any business. It still centers around those 5 major areas that we spoke about, which are the customer, team, product, funding, and innovation. Now, these actually align to certain meta phases. Now, these are the meta phases of a venture. The first stage, of course, being conception, where the founder, the promoter, the key group, the core team has conceptualized an entire business idea, planned for how it is going to be built and grown. And this, you will see, largely overlaps with the area where vision, commitment, and planning are concerned. We also have 2 more descriptors for this in terms of we solidify the vision in this stage between vision and committing to the vision, and we dedicate, which is in terms of dedicating resources, we have committing. So we have another stage here, which is dedicate stage. Based on the kind of organization and product that you are planning to deliver to the market, the conception stage could be as short as a month, or it could go on to as much as a year, year and a half. Then comes the activation phase, which is actually the incubation for the business. So any new business would then require people to come into it, and it needs to be activated. There is a physical office from which you start operating, a factory, an office, a workspace, or in terms of several of the internet ventures also, there could be a small back room, a garage that a lot of these companies have started in, where the team actually starts sitting together, ideating, generating ideas, developing the product, incubating, and getting ready to start and launch. Thereafter comes the stage once you have launched and the incubation is complete, which is an accelerator phase. And this is where you are creating, launching, and growing. Now, this is how we typically identify and break up the various activities that go into building a business. We then allocate in each one of them, we put timelines in a business plan. We identify what are the various resources required at each stage, from what period to what period are these actually going to be used. We definitely use things like critical paths to figure out which activity should start at which time. We do not want to waste a lot of resources. So the consolidation phase is where you're talking about the growth of a business, and it continues to grow from here. Mentorpreneur assists entrepreneurs with ideation and research in the conception phase, while it goes the whole hog in incubation and acceleration. We have our own incubators, we have our own accelerators that work with several young organizations, startups, and certain small and medium businesses which are established over a period of 5 to 10 years also, in case the entrepreneur wants or is desirous of these services. Now, here are some pointers for you as the founder, somebody who has built, who has envisioned the business and who is starting a business. You must create a breakthrough goal for yourself. This goal should be one that would quantum leap your professional success or the success of your venture. Try setting a goal that is big enough so that in the process of achieving it, you will become someone worth being. The recognition that follows the achievement of even partial success in a big goal is something which is huge and enough to keep people motivated to drive to higher levels. The next step, you must set measurable objectives for every part of your master plan. Your master plan could be your business plan. It is something that you have envisioned at this stage. You may not have put it right now in black and white, but you are beginning to do so. So set measurable objectives for each part of your master plan. Do not leave it open in terms of time and value. You must be specific. I am going to give this part of my activity, development activity, 30 days. I'm going to give it 60 days. Be precise on that. Put a value to that. I could achieve it at a cost of 5 lakhs. That is all that I can afford to give for this activity till this stage. Please do not exceed that budget, because soon, when you come closer to launch, you'll start running short of funds. So make sure that your master plan is measurable, is specific, and it's measurable in terms of time and value. You must, as a founder, as the visionary, as who's coming out with a business, an entrepreneur of today, you must come out of your comfort zone. If you're not feeling a bit uncomfortable, then you're not going. What I mean by saying this is that you have been in your comfort zone when you were working on a job. You know that you were good at it. You knew what you could deliver. The challenges of a business are going to be far more than what you had on a job. So if you remain in that comfort zone, you will not be able to address those challenges. You must be prepared to feel a bit uncomfortable, because feeling uncomfortable means that you have stepped out of your comfort zone. Here is where you're going to learn. You will meet people, you will understand from them certain things that you were not exposed to till now. This is the stage where growth starts happening. So if you're not feeling uncomfortable, you're actually not going. Please come out of your comfort zone. As an entrepreneur, you cannot afford to give up. You must take 100% responsibility for your life and your results. I have a small equation here, being an engineer by profession. E plus R is equal to O. Simplified, it's the event plus the response is equal to the outcome. So if you find that something has gone wrong, please don't blame the event. Change your response. Otherwise, you will come to the same outcome. So every event where you give a standard response and fail to elicit the outcome that you desired, it is possibly because your response was not correct. Please change your response if you want a different outcome. Thereby meaning you need success. You will need to think, you will need to actively engage and listen to your customers, your team. That is how you will come out with a response which will change the outcome of what you have set out to do. Excuse me. I'm sorry, I'm suffering from a viral, so please do excuse me. The next being as important for any entrepreneur, please don't give up. You must harness the power of your thoughts. Excuse me. If you're an average person with a negative attitude, you're already halfway down to the bottom. You cannot afford to be an average person with a negative attitude. If that is the case, please, you are not cut out for business. An average person with a positive attitude is a welcome sign. An achiever, an above average person, somebody who understands what he is all about, somebody who's got his passion about his business and hence has a positive attitude, is already climbing to the top. Now, in your business, you cannot afford a negative attitude. Please learn to control everything which is negative about you. Be an optimist when it comes to the growth of your business, to the future for your business. However, never ever close your eyes to reality. there is an environment around you, the universal set, which will affect what your business is going to achieve. In the years of a slowdown that we are seeing since 2008 onwards, a lot has changed in the world. A lot of plans which might have worked in a growth market, in a growing market, may not be working as well right now. Let us keep our eyes open to that reality, because that is something that you cannot change. However, in that reality, you can still innovate on your plans. You can still cut down your expenses to make sure that the revenue streams that you have from your business are actually able to sustain this period of slowdown. So stay positive. Do not give in to negativeness around you. In fact, be that one positive energy that is going to help you exceed expectations. Even if you're setting it for yourself, as an entrepreneur, you are the boss of the business. You are going to decide and define your own target. So, please, when you set a target, set a large enough target, and even if you have achieved it, please try to exceed that. Real success comes from these kind of pointers in the individual whose vision is actually building the business and driving the business. So what are you waiting for? It's time. You went out. Go get started. You must believe it's possible. You must release the brakes. Things that slow you down, just release them. Step on the accelerator, because now onwards you're going to go stepping on the gas to make sure that you are headed in the direction that you intended to take your organization. At the end, I would like to quote Sir Winston Churchill, who has said, "Success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm." In today's scenario, in today's business scenario, I think these words are as apt as they were when Churchill actually said them. I'd like you to remember these words and commit yourself to your dream venture. Success, so please, with our best wishes, with your own efforts, with your belief in yourself, please go ahead, go get started. Thank you. With that, I've come to the end of my presentation. I would now like to open the forum to your questions to the best I can.
We will begin the question and answer round now. The first question is from Sanjiv Menon. He says that he has some ideas for the mobile platform, but he's not a coder. So he wants to know, how can he go about realizing his dream? Is the best way to outsource it to a mobile development company, or to a freelancer, or take a co-founder who is technically strong? Please advise him on this.
Sure. Sanjeev, this is a typical issue with a whole lot of new startups that come about. If you are fortunate enough to have worked in the technology space, in the mobility space, you would also have come across some very good people on your technical teams, on your technical delivery teams, who were coders, who were analysts, who actually developed these platforms. My suggestion would be, try thinking through who were the resources that actually had what you want now. If you already know those people, you have worked with them professionally, and you share a mutual respect, there are much better chances of this team succeeding. However, if that is not the case, that is that you do not come from the technology space, you have not had the opportunity to work with coders, with system analysts, with system development teams, look around you. There would be several companies which are developers in the field who do not have the right ideas. My suggestion would be, before you go around hiring any such companies or outsourcing this activity to any company, and as far as possible, I would like you to break down the service into more than one part, which is that the entire code should not rest with one outside company. Try to break it up into 3-4 different portions which can then be assimilated by you. Make sure that your intellectual property is protected. Find these people. Better still, put a plan together. Find yourself a mentor. Understand what are the investment requirements in this kind of a venture. Maybe somebody would be there. I mean, our organization is one which does look at such ideas. You could also refer this to us on our website, mentorpreneur.com, where we ask people to send us their ideas and we help them in providing the entire environment, the entire system that is required to take something to market. So we'd be happy to look at it. I'm sure there are several other organizations, several other people from the industry and trade who are respected, who have the experience, who might be able to guide you on this. But without understanding the idea, I do not think I can venture and give you anything more in terms of advice. I hope that helps.
The next question is from Giriraj. He wants to know whether a co-founder is a must for a startup, or what is the most important role of a co-founder in a startup that you think it is?
Well, a co-founder is required only if you need somebody else. And typically that need comes about when you are missing one of those 4 pillars that we spoke about. So you are the marketing person, you are the visionary, you need somebody who can deliver, as Sanjiv had the problem of somebody who is operations, somebody who could head the technical team. In his case, he might have wanted to bring in a co-founder with a technical background who could then take on the responsibility of taking the product, designing the product and taking it to market, even if it had to be outsourced with an outsourced team. In a lot of cases with young startups, a co-founder is typically somebody who comes in with a set which is coming for finance, because a lot of founders in the technology space tend to be technically savvy or marketing savvy, but are missing out on the financial background. People tend to be young, they are not prepared for ways of raising funds. They do not know how to manage them. They do not even have the time or the interest most of the time to manage the funds that they have been able to raise. So co-founders are normally taken in for one of these very reasons. If you find that you have the experience to handle each one of these areas comfortably, or the venture does not require full-time people for this, by all means, you do not need a co-founder. Go take your idea forward. Is that all right? Hello.
Next question for you is from...
Have I lost? Yeah.
No, I can hear you. The next question is from Sachin Taneja. Wants to know, in the startup phase, an entrepreneur has to explain to the investors, for example, to the IT services vendor in detail about the project and the requirements. So how do you suggest he go about this? Should he be carefree and be open in discussing all the business ideas and strategies, or should he target the vendor specifically based on their needs?
I'm sorry, Shashank, there was a slight problem with the audio. Could you repeat some part of it? I
sure,
heard the initial part,
okay,
but I missed out what you said later.
Yeah, what Sachin wants to know is...
So this is about presenting, yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly. He wants to know when an entrepreneur in the startup stage has to explain his ideas to investors, or for example to the IT software services vendors in detail about his project and his requirements. He wants to know how to go about doing that. As in, should he be carefree and be open in discussing all his business ideas and strategies, or is there another way of doing this cleverly?
Firstly, it's a very valid question, and it's the surest way of losing your ideas to a lot of people who are actually in search of good business opportunities. So I would not ask you to be trusting of each and every person you come across. The standard way of starting any such discussions would be through signing of a non-disclosure agreement. Make sure you have signed an NDA. There are standard formats available off the net. If you require some, I could mail them to you. You have my mail ID by now. So please get a non-disclosure agreement signed before you start discussing your business idea with anyone. Key aspects of business plans are not things that you want to share with everyone unless people are committed to it. So, and that is something that will never happen on one interaction. Typically, an investor would like to listen to the idea, like to understand you and whether you will be able to deliver to the extent that you are talking about in your presentation. That comfort actually would normally lead to a second meeting. I have very rarely seen a meeting which starts and ends on that one session with that one investor where he ends up signing the check. If you are led to believe that this kind of a thing is going to happen, I think you need to be even more watchful. So please do not disclose your entire business plan to anyone unless you have reached that level of comfort with the investor. That is the stage where you need to start discussing. Please protect yourself and your intellectual property at every stage through non-disclosures before you move forward and disclose how you intend to go about running your business. Please make sure that the need for which you are addressing that investor is large enough prior to spelling out the entire business. It could also be something which only you are capable of doing. Now that is something totally different, that without you, without your passion, without your experience, without your belief, there is no way anybody can actually make headway in that business. If that is the case, I'd be much more comfortable sharing a lot more information because I know without me it cannot happen. But that is for you to judge, and it is based on your business idea. I hope it helps you. Without an NDA, please do not move forward.
The next question for you is from
Any more
Ashwini.
questions?
Yeah, the next question for you is from Ashwini. An entrepreneur usually has a lot of ideas to start a company with. What do you think is the best way to know which of these ideas is a good one? Is there any other alternative as compared to testing each of them and then seeing which one clicks in the market? Or is there something you can do beforehand itself to know that your idea is good, a valid one or not?
Let me understand what you just said is Ashwini's question.
Okay.
Ashwini seems to have a lot of ideas
Yes.
about various businesses.
Yes.
And he wants to know whether he should go and test each one of them before deciding which business he should actually set up.
Yes.
Am I right in that?
Yes. Yes. Or is there a way in which
Ashwini,
or is there a way in which you know that your idea is good even before starting out?
yes, of course. Your idea is good. It depends again on what you intend to bring to the market. If you're talking about ideas in terms of different products, there is definitely a whole lot of effort which will go into the designing part, the prototyping. However, if the ideas are around some kind of an internet portal, some kind of an e-commerce portal, things could be different. Easy ways of doing anything before moving forward is probably do a test market, do some research, hire a research agency to see what actually is it that the market needs. I mean, a lot of ideas is actually not a great thing. It's great for somebody who's an ideation workshop. Maybe that is the kind of business he wants to set up. Maybe he becomes somebody who got terrific 100 ideas and he sells each one of these ideas for an equity stake in a venture with people who want to set up and run the venture for him. If that is the kind of person that Ashwini is. Ideally, I have seen people who are extremely passionate about one thing or another thing because they feel that that need is real. They know it from close quarters. They've seen people around them buy the kind of product or service that they have envisioned. They have seen that there is a niche in the market for that, and hence there is a premium available. Trying to do everything together obviously is a no-no. It would also depend on the kind of investments that any of these ideas needs to take shape, and what is Ashwini's ability to raise the funds to build businesses for each one of these ideas. If you're a first-time entrepreneur and this is your first startup that you are looking at, Ashwini, my suggestion is find the best idea which costs the less and takes the least amount of time to take on the road. Even if it fails, you would have gained from the experience, and your next idea, which possibly is more capital intensive, would actually benefit from the fact that you have been an entrepreneur once and you have tried, and you will realize that the learnings that have come from that first failure will actually help you build a much better venture on your next run. So just a thought, but I've given you several options that you could look at. I think that basic thing is that this need has to be felt by you. You have to be passionate about it. If you're passionate about one idea and not so passionate about the rest, go for the one where your passion lies, where your conviction lies, because that is the place you will be able to convince your customers, you will be able to convince your team better, you will be able to convince your investors, and keep all of them close to you in taking the idea forward.
Thank you, Sanjiv. The next question is from Kushal. He says he has a startup in web applications and is currently running low on funds. So he wants to know how can he market his product to reach a large number of people, considering that he's a little low on funds now. Can you give him some marketing tips for his startup?
Again, I think we have problems with audio here, Sushant.
Yeah, sure. I'll repeat the question for you.
He has an idea.
He has a startup in web applications, and yes, and is currently having a lack of funds. So he wants to know how he can market his product to reach a large number of people, or can you give him some marketing tips in which he can reach out to a lot of people with, considering he's low on funds right now.
Certainly. Now, you see, there are two aspects to what the gentleman has a problem with. He has his web application startup. His problem is he does not have the funds to reach out to a large market.
Yes.
So there are two ways of getting around this. One is to raise the funds to address the market that he intended to. The second is a low-cost marketing strategy to reach a larger market and market share than he can manage within a budget. I think that is the problem that he has. My suggestion is a lot of groups are there on social portals like, let's talk about LinkedIn for one. You will find a lot of people with similar interests forming groups there. Please go through that. You will find that there are ways of putting your product on display to a target group of more than 10,000, 20,000 people in one go at zero cost practically. By starting discussions on such forums, you will find people with background and interest in the area coming back to you and assisting you possibly for some kind of a share of profits or whatever else based on actual results that they're going to be creating for you and your product, for your web application. Maybe they find you an investor who's willing to buy the application in case you intend to sell it. And there are a whole lot of referral networks that are there on the internet. Please spend some time. If you have not, I think you're a technology savvy person. You must be already part of a lot of such groups. So find the right groups. Put this out over there. You will find people who are interested finding you. It doesn't cost money. Yes, it's time consuming. It's slightly painstaking. But it's the best way of getting to people and getting to address a much larger market in a short period of time with practically no funds. There would be a number of other marketing strategies which could be utilized, from advertising your product, your services on Google AdWords or the likes of which, or even Facebook, putting your product there, trying to build a target audience by defining the profile of the people who you want joining your group, who might be interested in buying your product. So there are several things. These are typically low cost. I would not advocate going and advertising in mainstream newspapers, maybe trade magazines, maybe based on what product your web application is actually, or what market it is targeting. You could specifically look for areas within that and try to address them from cheaper options which give you the kind of reach that you want. The alternative to that, as I said, was to raise more funds to address a much larger market share. It would of course depend again on what is the product and what is your target market. More details of this, we'd be happy to help with your marketing, with PR, with various aspects of whatever it would take to take your business further. The other option, of course, would be other IT companies which are looking for similar applications, which might find value to these applications, which have applications and groups and products, where your product, your application could add value. And they might be interested in investing in the product or investing in your company and taking it to market. I think I've given several options. More details, of course, I can give only if I know much more about what we are talking about.
We'll be taking the last two questions for the day. The penultimate one is coming from Pankaj Jeswani. He says he's looking for a startup in the e-commerce industry. So he wants to know, should he go for a sole proprietor firm or for a one-person company?
Pankaj is starting up in e-commerce space, and yeah.
So should he go?
Like to?
He wants to know whether he should go for a sole proprietor firm or for a single-person company.
No, he can go for a sole proprietary firm. There is no problem in that. Since he is the sole owner of the company, he is not of the business. He doesn't have anybody else on that. Sole proprietary businesses are the easiest to set up at practically zero cost. Does not call for many registrations. However, the one problem with a proprietary business is always that you have unlimited liability. So in case you are getting into a line of e-commerce which you might feel that you might have a lot of claims from your customers on, you're opening yourself to unlimited liability. Just keep that in mind. Otherwise, it's the simplest form of business. Limited liability partnerships are fine. You could do it with somebody in your family or anybody else, and that could always be converted. And so can proprietorship firms be converted into companies at the right stage. So there is nothing wrong with a sole proprietary business, as long as you know the extent of liabilities you are willing to take.
The last question is from Raj Ramachandra. He wants to know which are the smart tools available online which an entrepreneur must have for planning, tracking and generating statistics of his progress.
I'm sorry, I can't really help you on that one. There would be a lot of tools available online. I have not tried them myself. What I speak from is from my experience, and we have used commercially available tools, yes, for various aspects of business, or we have developed proprietary tools. I am not one who has used open source products available on the web, downloaded them, but yes, there are plenty available. Measure of success would be different. To me, my time is of great value. I would not like to, waste several hours of my time or several days of my time and effort in trying to understand how to use an open source tool. I'd rather stick to something which I need to pay for, either on a license basis or something that we use as a methodology ourselves to build and plan our businesses. But a few searches on the net will definitely get you the tools that you're looking for. Then it's a matter of seeking referrals from people who have used them, finding out which ones suit you more, which ones suit your mindset more, which are the ones that you are more comfortable using. So I think a little bit of exploration you would have to do, but I'm sure it will not take more than this 1 hour that this session is taken for you to find the right tools online which are open source.
Thank you very much, Sanjiv, for that interesting session. Thank you to all our attendees for participating in the webinar. We are glad that the questions kept coming in, but due to a lack of time, we are unable to answer them all. Please do send in your feedback and suggestions to us at eclub@nenglobal.org. Also, if you found the session interesting, feel free to blog or post about it. The recorded version of the webinar will be available at www.youtube.com/user/eclubnen online by tomorrow. Also, Join us for our next webinar on key legal aspects every entrepreneur must know by Professor Deepak Khaitan on October 16th, 3 to 4 p.m. We also have some workshops lined up for you entrepreneurs. There's a workshop on getting to market in Delhi and Bombay on 19th and 26th of October respectively, and one in Bangalore on understanding angel investment on October 19th. Thank you once again and have a nice evening.
Thank you so much, National Entrepreneur Network, Bhavnani Foundation, and all you young entrepreneurs who spent the past hour with us. The contact coordinates for my business are there on your screens. Feel free to visit our websites, mentorpreneur.in or mentorpreneur.com, and mail to us at advisor@mentorpreneur.com in case you have any queries or you would like us to look closer into your business and assist you through the mentoring or advisory stage. Been a pleasure being here with you. Thank you so much. Have a good day and a wonderful entrepreneurial journey. God bless.